Welcome back to our cycling adventure series. In this episode, we go back to Liliana's Romanian roots and also eat all the food. Romania had been an intense few weeks. It's a pretty wild place, but it also been a great adventure for bike touring. We were making our way to the coast to Liliana's hometown, Navodari. And just like reaching the Danube again, this also felt like a mega achievement. For Liliana, she'd basically cycled all the way from her hometown in France to Navidari, where she was born and spent the first 6 to 7 years of her life. When you do this sort of thing, it's not like you get pure overwhelmed with emotion, but it just more feels like, yes, this is pretty cool that we did that. Or at least that's how I felt. Maybe she was like crying with pure joy. They still have a flat in the city, so we rocked up, bought some beers and waited for our mum to arrive. It was lovely to see her again and catch up, and we told her all about the trip, and I think I probably got some serious relaxing time as well. The next day, we went to the beach and had a nice lunch at a resto. We got to the beach, but not long after, they had some errands to run and the offer of a lift, so that took Liliana and her mum away. I jumped at the chance to have some solo time. Those few hours were probably the longest length of time we spent apart the whole 6-month trip, if you can believe it. Traveling in a couple can be pretty intense, but luckily Lily and I don't drive each other too crazy. The next day, the plan was to go to the farm where Elena, Liliana's mum, and her family grew up, and where her dad, sister, and her sister's son with family all still lived. I'd been in 2012, and I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't really looking forward to it too much. It's pretty intense. We stayed there for 2 days, and boy did I feel every minute of it. Okay, so right, being diplomatic about it, it's great to see Liliana's family. That was also the last time we visited her granddad before he passed away last year. It's also just super interesting to see the farm and trying to imagine Liliana's mum, Elena, growing up there and then managing to make it into the city and eventually emigrating to France with her 2 kids. All that is good and I think important to do. Also, the food was delicious, salata divinity, stuffed peppers, sarmale, mamaliga. Wow! Romanian food is delicious and the home cooked stuff was like proper good. But I do admittedly find it quite tough being there. It seemed like the farm had the same issues around plastic pollution we'd seen all over the place in Romania. It's not like it was sparkling clean the last time we were there, but there was a tendency just to throw rubbish on the ground after using something, and it had really built up. Also, there is still no running water here, so they go with a horse and cart to the source to collect water. This is partly a dairy farm as well, and the inability to clean things meant that this summer in particular, there were swarms of flies that drove me completely nuts. Also, you guessed it, no running water means that there is a dry toilet. I'd rather not go into the horrors of that situation, but I now know that a smell flashback is a thing. One of the days that we were there, we went to visit Elena's other sister Stella. It was really nice to see them again, and they tried to stuff us with food as usual and ply us with some homemade hooch, which will blow your socks off. We spent the afternoon there and then got some goodies from the garden as well.
Il est pas bien mûr, non. Păi asta așa, nu sunt că sunt dulci.
The road back was pretty full on, driving fast on a dusty road. I also found out that these chickens sleep in a tree to avoid being eaten by foxes. I'll just leave that information out there. Farm life is something I think everyone should see and experience. That being said, it just confirms that I am indeed a city boy, and that's totally fine with me. I was glad that we managed to make it there, and I imagine we'll probably go back in the future again, but it was definitely a relief to get back to Navidari. We spent the next couple of days visiting more family friends and being forced to eat tons of food, which I'm 100% not complaining about. We spent some time on the coast as well, although I'm probably not a huge fan of the beach here. It's nice that it's so close to the flat, but there's also a massive refinery, so it can sometimes feel like you're getting a bit gassed while you're on the beach. We ate a lot of pizza, drank beers, I put together some IKEA furniture. It was a good few days sort of resetting and chilling. One day I did some bike maintenance and a neighbour came out and we chatted a bunch, sort of, and he kept pouring mugs of Tweeka for me, which I really enjoyed, but before I knew it, I was absolutely hammered and had to go upstairs and lie down for a while. We took some time out to go to Bucharest as well. I would definitely recommend this city. It's a real eclectic vibe, mixing the old buildings with Soviet style, and it's just full of life as well. We sought out nice craft beer bars and also some more hipster type places to eat. Brunch, which it has plenty of, which is cool.
Tony Hawk.
Tony Hawk. Talking about Tony Hawk. Talking about Tony Hawk.
And that happens.
Made some really good video games.
Right ahead to motion drink. So Ryan, tell us more about what's going on.
We're in Bucharest, the capital of Romania. We come here just for one night. This is the day 2. We're gonna get ready to go for the train. But before we go, had to make sure that we go and see the biggest freaking building ever, which is the excuse me, nice car. Which is the I'm just laughing because those 2 guys were taking a picture in front of her car, and then she got in. She's like, "This is my car, and I'm sexier than you." Vroom, vroom. So, it's ruined.
It's got a replay, by the way.
Jesus Christ. So,
Right.
this is the biggest government building in the world.
Yeah.
Is it bigger than the Pentagon?
Yeah, it's the biggest ever, Ryan. Let's say so. I don't think so, but let's say so.
Look at it. It's huge. So, I think this is my favorite building in the world because it's so big. It's just ridiculous. And it's just great. It's just a great building. Do you like it?
Love it.
Communism, centralized power, make a big massive building. We have the remnants of the fall of communism, but we get to enjoy the giant building.
I accept that displacing around 40,000 people, destroying neighbourhoods, moving churches, all for a building that is so big that since they decentralised power, they haven't really been able to use it properly and it's pretty much falling apart, so I hear. That's not really great, but look at it. Look at this huge building. I also heard that Trump tried to buy it at some point and make it into the world's biggest casino. I think I would be up for that. I mean, if not, why not? Anyway, look, this is just a big old building and I love it. We also went to the super popular restaurant in the old part of the city. I thought the food here was better the first time we went, but it was still worth going for the interiors, although I've got no idea what's going on here. We also took some time to start getting ready for the next stage of our trip. Believe it or not, up until this point we really didn't have an end destination. At one point we'd been focused on trying to go to Istanbul and then flying back from there to Glasgow, but we were really up for going to Greece, and the way that we'd sort of gone on the trip, we'd kind of missed it out completely. So with that in mind, we managed to book flights from Athens back to Glasgow instead. We worked out a rough plan that we would cycle back west through Bulgaria, over the Balkan mountains, and then down into Greece. It felt great to have an end destination finally and a bit of a plan, but that also comes with a bit more of a realisation that we were now moving into the latter parts of the journey and there's a certain amount of sadness that comes with that. We took the train from Bucharest back to Navidari, then a few days later set out to follow the Black Sea coast down into Bulgaria. Thank you so much for watching this latest episode of our cycling trip. If you have any comments or want to discuss anything about visiting Bucharest, I'd love to hear it and talk to you. And to make sure you don't miss the next episode, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I'd love it if you subscribed.